Right. Sorry for the delay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first workshop for this rulemaking. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. So my name is Amelia Boyd, and I am the program manager for the WMC. I'll be facilitating today's session along with my co-organizer, Bonnie Gregory. This workshop is being recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel soon. The documents we'll be discussing are available on our website, which is wmc.wa.gov. The links in this presentation, including the globe icon and the YouTube icon, are clickable. Attendees, if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you as soon as we can. When offering comments, please avoid reading aloud any written remarks that are already included in the materials. These workshops are intended to be collaborative with a back and forth exchange of ideas about the proposed language. Excuse me. So I will now take the roll call of our panelists and staff. When I call your name, please introduce yourself. We will start with Ms. Blake.
Good afternoon, Christine Blake. I'm a public member of the commission.
Thank you. Dr. Chang.
Hi, I'm Dr. Boshin Chang. I'm a family physician, recently retired. I'm also a commission member.
Marissa.
Marissa Courtney, licensing manager.
Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie Gregory, Medical Commission Administration and Assistant to Amelia Blake.
Thank you. Heather.
Good afternoon, Heather Carter, Assistant Attorney General and Legal Advisor to the Commission.
Kyle.
Good afternoon, Kyle Kiernan. I'm the Executive Director for the Commission.
Mr. Matthews.
Good afternoon, Micah Matthews. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for the Commission.
And then Dr. Domino, if you would introduce yourself and begin the script.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. My name's Karen Domino. I'm a commissioner and I will be the presiding officer for this rules workshop. Today is Monday, October, well, it's whatever, it's the 23rd, right? It's not Monday either. So what day of the week is it? Thursday, perhaps, of October 20th. That's okay. And the meeting's being held by a Teams webinar. The rule being discussed today is regarding WAC 246-919-010 through 246-919-520 and WAC 246-919-602 through 246-919-700, which set standards for allopathic physicians or MDs. The CR 101 or pre-proposal statement of inquiry was filed as WSR number 25-12-014 on May 22nd, 2025. Ms. Boyd, could you please provide an overview of the rules process, present our proposed timeline for rule development, and provide some background on this rulemaking?
Yes, thank you. So since this is the first workshop for this rulemaking, we're going to go over some basics. So the first is, what is a rule? And a rule or regulation is a written requirement that applies broadly across a group of individuals or entities that enables, guides, or directs them to do something or prohibits them from doing something. Specifically, a rule establishes or subjects individuals or entities to penalties if it is violated, or is a qualification or requirement that gives a benefit or privilege, or sets qualifications or standards that an individual or entity must meet to get a license or permit, or sets standards that must be met before a product or material can be sold. So some background on this rule is that the RCWs are laws that establish the legal framework for prescribing in Washington state. And then RCWs set out requirements for licensing, delegation, and record keeping. They also provide the legal basis for disciplinary action if a physician violates state laws or rules. The WMC implements and clarifies these statutes through rulemaking. Then just a note that changes to RCWs can only be made through the Washington State Legislature, and the first step for requesting a change to RCW is to contact your representative. The WMC has rulemaking authority under 1871 to adopt, amend, or repeal rules related to the practice of medicine and surgery for MDs. This includes setting licensing standards, professional conduct expectations, continuing education requirements, and practice regulations. And here's an overview of the rulemaking process. A CR 101 or pre-proposal statement of inquiry is filed by the WMC to announce its intent to adopt, amend, or repeal a rule. This notice includes the rule's subject, statutory authority, and invites public participation. During this phase, workshops are held to collaborate with interested parties in developing rule language. After considering initial input, the WMC files a CR 102 or proposed rulemaking notice, presenting the proposed rule text and a summary. It includes details of a public hearing and a period for written comments. During the CR 102 phase, the public can submit written comments and testify at the hearing. The WMC may revise the proposed rule based on that feedback. After adopting the rule at the hearing, the WMC files a CR 103 or rulemaking order to make the rules permanent. This notice includes the final rule text and the effective date. Alongside the CR 103, the WMC must prepare a concise explanatory statement addressing public comments and explaining changes made to the proposed rule. So why are we amending this rule? The WMC is required under RCW 4370.041 to review its rules every 5 years to ensure they remain current and relevant. Through this process, we have the opportunity to modernize language, improve clarity, and align the rules more closely with current practice. And rulemaking is the most effective way to accomplish this work, as requirements must be formally adopted in rule in order to be enforceable. And here are the WACs that may be amended, which Dr. Domino mentioned during her script. We did not open the entire chapter 246919 WAC since several sections are already under separate rulemaking efforts. Those efforts are noted on this slide, and you can learn more about those by clicking the links provided. Development timeline, which may be adjusted as workshops are held. Does anyone have any questions about this timeline or any of the information we just presented about the rulemaking process? Please use their question. Dr. Domino, you may step in.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Boyd. The next item on the agenda is the discussion of the draft language. We will start with the definitions section and proceed through the draft. If you have a comment, question, or suggested language as we work through the draft, please use the raise hand function within the Teams platform and we will call on you as soon as possible. At 2:45, we will pause the discussion to review next steps and conclude the session.
So this is a large rulemaking. There's a lot of language that we're suggesting to change. There's a lot of additions. There are some things we are requesting to remove. So we're just going to start at the beginning and work our way through, and whatever we get done today is what we get done today. There was one late comment, which is not included in the materials, that we might get to. I'm not sure if we will or not. So, all right. So the first change that we have up is this addition of delegation. And commissioners, you can discuss whether you like this definition or would like to change it.
It seemed fine to me.
I don't have
Amelia,
any problem.
could you talk about why we're adding that definition?
I think we had a request to clarify what delegation means, but I'd have to go back and look through my notes because I did not make a note on this.
Okay, thank you.
Amelia, can you just scroll down there to the end of that sentence?
But you're good with this delegation definition before we move on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. And for direct supervision, that one we added because there was a request that there has been some question about what direct supervision means, and so that's why we added that in. And then I had a question if we should add a definition for telemedicine, but then I answered my own question so that it's already defined in RCW. I mean, we can put that same definition in our WAC if we would like. But if you like this direct supervision definition, if you think we don't need it, then we can take it out.
Well, I'm fine with that definition, but where is this involved? I mean, I know it certainly is in billing for anesthesia care, but I was trying to figure out where else and why it was added. I mean,
let me look.
I like it being there as is, Dr. Domino, because for supervising another provider, the supervisor should be physically present and immediately available in the facility where they're provided and not have to be called in and be a half hour away if there's an urgent need for that supervising physician.
well, yeah, I agree but I'm just wondering, is it for PAs? Is it for, I didn't to get the background of what
Got it.
It's for, yeah. I mean, I think it's fine to leave it. We can, when we go through,
Right.
More about it later.
It probably is related to PAs. You're probably right. I'm making my other document do a search. Because if we do not mention direct supervision anywhere else in these rules, then we wouldn't need a definition for them.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to leave it because it is what direct supervision is.
Right. Exactly. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. Although, Amelia, you said that it's already defined. It's good just to add this as defined of what you put in the comment and the WAC. It's just so that for clarity, so for future, people referring to it, and they still come back and wondering what's going on, and it's already stated it's defined, in that.
Well, this note I have is about telemedicine because we mentioned telemedicine in this definition.
Yeah.
And we don't define it in our rule, but it is defined in these RCWs. So that's what my little question is about, if we should define telemedicine. But if it's defined in RCW, we don't have to, but you can opt to do that.
You could put that in parentheses next to it, I suppose. So if anybody wanted to, would that work?
Yeah, that's what I meant. So
yeah,
I don't know if we could do that.
okay. I don't know.
Heather could tell us if we could do that.
Put the definition from the statute in?
No, just put like
The
the
reference.
RCW
Just the reference.
next to the word telemedicine.
Yeah, you can. The issue is if it removes or changes and
Got it.
then yeah.
Yeah. So
Then
if
you
it
end
has
up
that
running
potential,
around.
exactly. So if it has that potential, then I would say no, because to have to remember to go and do that in a document is cumbersome.
okay.
Well, and then we would have to open the rules to make the change, whether it's
Right.
expedited rulemaking or standard rulemaking. We still have to open them.
Yeah.
So,
If there's potential for change, I wouldn't put it in there.
okay, so I will, as soon as my document finishes its search. Sorry, my computer's very slow right now.
Mike sent something about direct supervision, and it was
Chat?
a Teams message.
No.
Came on and left quickly.
055. 055. Okay. Well, we will get to that one in a second. For some reason, my other document will not find it. If you can hold on a second, I can scroll down to 055.
Amelia, I think I can answer the question. So with the recent updates in the PA Practice Act, there is a direct supervision requirement for PAs that just complete their training and or if they are switching specialties for, I believe, the first 2,000 hours.
Okay.
So that's where that would come from.
So
Great, thanks for
Okay.
letting us know. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. So this direct supervision that Mike Farrell's talking about is in the PA rules.
Mhm.
So we don't mention it in the MD rules, but it is related to the PA rules. So I think it is appropriate to leave it here.
Agreed.
All right. So we like that definition. So we're going to move on to good standing. And we decided to define good standing because we mentioned this phrase in the revised
Mhm.
where we talk about licenses.
I like it.
I'm
Fine
fine
with
with
me.
it.
All right. And we added this and chapter 1871B because that is the IMLC chapter? I know you have your hand up,
Correct.
Carol. Okay. Thank you, Micah. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, the last few words of that definition kind of bothered me. If you scroll back up,
This one?
yeah, that limits the ability to practice. That limits the scope of that definition. So I would put a period after condition.
Okay.
If somebody's understood, they have to take CME. They're not in good standing, but they're not limited.
Right.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Commissioners, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. All right. So if you have questions about this particular definition, I'm sure Micah could respond. Or Marissa.
Just a typo, and training means a period, not
Means, yes,
means.
there's an E.
Yeah.
You don't want it to say mans?
Yeah.
Only if we're trying to explain the definition.
Right? Well, postgraduate training could man something. I don't know. Okay. So do you like this definition?
Yeah, I like it. I wonder if accredited by an organization should be first, because I don't know, isn't that a higher level than just being recognized by the commission?
Mhm.
On the other hand, recognized
Right.
by the commission is local, so
Yeah,
local state, yeah. So I could go either way.
I'm okay with it.
It's fine to leave it as is, or do you want to move it?
It's fine to leave it if people like it. I just would have put accredited by an organization recognized by the commission first. Well, except that it's repetitive, I guess, so.
So it's an or, a recognized by the
credit.
commission or accredited by oh, got it. Or accredited, not both. They don't need to be accredited by an organization, their own organization. Are we just saying recognized or accredited?
So
was thinking-
what this is
go ahead.
doing is adding flexibility. So you have deferred some decision making authority to panel L for licensing purposes, and that includes case by case reviews of postgraduate training, whether that's internships, fellowships, residencies, what have you. And so through that process, we have found instances, and I'll give you an example where at a large hospital, you have two fellows working side by side. The domestic fellow is in an accredited program and an accredited position, right? So they're board eligible. They have the ability to leave after they finish. The IMG individual is doing the exact same thing right next to the individual that's in the accredited program in a non-accredited program, but they're not getting any credit, but they're doing the exact same thing. And so we've had scenarios where, and in this case, this was neurosurgery. And so we've had instances where we have lost IMGs in these programs because we were not able to license them, despite the fact that they
Okay.
got the exact same experience at the exact same institution for the exact same length of time.
Okay, makes sense,
Yep.
Micah. Then I
Sounds
guess
good.
it's up to the individual facilities to make their decision
Correct.
and their credential. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that, Micah.
Yeah, I'm okay with SS, leaving it SS rather than trying to change the order.
hmm
Any other questions or discussion about definition number 10? Good. Sounds like it. Silence is compliance. Okay, so we finished the definition section. So I don't know that we have to include this. This was a suggestion to include where licensing fees go. I think it
What-
might be an important
Isn't
piece
most
of
of it
information.
online now?
Right. And Marissa can answer this question for sure. But
Because
Yes,
I
most
renewed
of
my
it is
license, it was
online.
online. Yeah.
We do have some instances where it is required that they actually mail it in. So having this information listed in our WAC would be helpful because they tend to resort to that prior to actually just going to our website and looking for that information.
Okay, I'm okay with it. Doesn't hurt anything.
all right. No changes there. Okay, let's see. So this was an addition, which, as you can see, Mike is the commentor.
hmm
So if you have any questions about these additions, he just says that language on mandatory denials and referrals related to criminal justice board actions and personal health issues added. This is in response to national best practices and previous legislative attempts to require, quote, pre-application determination reviews. This is a needed transparency and consistency measure.
So I can provide a bit more feedback on this.
hmm
So if you go back I want to say about 4 years, there was a bill that passed that applied to a number of professions where someone who hasn't completed a training program or education program, but wanted to know if it would be worth it for them to do so because they have something in their record that would be criminal justice touch of some kind. And so that's where the pre-application review aspect came from. We've never been comfortable with that hypothetical predetermination for a number of reasons. You know, the commission making a decision on a hypothetical is not something that I ever want to put you in as a position. But the alternative is to put out what absolutely would not be approved if they were to complete the training. And so you could avoid the predetermination aspect by putting out in rule what you would not grant a license for. And so that's I'm as far as what the language is, I'm certainly not tied to the entirety of it. I think there are some no-brainers as you're seeing right there. Murder one, murder two, rape 1 through 3, where we're just not comfortable in my experience with Panel L giving a license to those individuals with those convictions. So if you're not comfortable with certain aspects of that, happy to make the changes that you are comfortable with. But these seem like the high points of just as a transparency. If you have these in your background, you should not apply. We're not going to grant a license.
Wouldn't it be, would it be a catch-all net if you said felonies instead of listing all of these things? I'm just wondering.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'll let you answer and then I'll ask my question.
Sure. In speaking with folks who are kind of national leaders on this, being overly broad is kind of frowned upon, and I don't have the full list of felonies at my disposal as far as what they are. I would imagine there are some where if there's a felony, we have not pulled the license, but there's also ones where it depends on the state and what they have there. So like I think in Washington, prostitution is a gross misdemeanor, and in some other jurisdictions, it's a felony. And we've had people that were convicted of that and maintained their license in Washington because it was not a felony.
Thanks, Micah. Are we putting ourselves in a box by just listing these? And
I would say no, because what you're listing here is not exhaustive, and it doesn't say that you won't if you find something else in an application. It simply is saying these things here are a definite no. Everything else is going to be Panel L case by case basis.
Okay.
So this is Heather. I have a question. Do you currently have a policy with these things in it, with the list of offenses that you deny on, or is this new?
We don't have a policy that's been formally adopted. We've got a guidance document that has this in addition to board actions, DUI recommended timeframes and conviction numbers, as well as some reference to the malpractice statute of, I think it's like 3 and 5 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, so I have 2 comments. Just the lead in isn't clear to me. What that contains the following information or conditions. I think you want to be clear that you're looking for if it's a conviction, right?
Okay.
Not because otherwise it's that I think you're too subjective. The other thing is, I think if you wanted just to keep this as a policy statement on this is what the commission's going to do, and not put it in rule. You can always take anything to Panel L that you want to, but in general, I mean, I think you deny these right away anyway without taking them to Panel L, because you've already said in your policy statement, this is what we're going to do. So
I want to be clear. We would absolutely take these to Panel L currently if we receive something, because it's still an exception application and a denial that needs to be done by the panel themselves.
So I do know other professions that will that have taken a policy approach to it, and have delegated to staff to just deny based on not all of these, but some of the really bad ones.
Yeah.
Like the murder and rape are generally automatic no's.
Okay, I think that's kind of where my thoughts were going is, do we want to put this in here or somewhere else?
I leave it to the commissioners to decide if you want that.
Well, what is this clearer to people who are applying than, say, a policy statement?
I think it depends on how people are searching these things out. So, I mean, I know that, based off of what Marissa was saying, that people tend to go to our rules page before they go to our actual web page, oddly enough. So by doing it here, you would kind of be in a customer service realm. It's all in one place. Whereas if you have it in a policy thing, they're going to have to go to the web page, maybe go to licensing, then go to policy and find it. So it would be a little bit harder. I think with a policy statement, you're certainly giving a document or an item that licensing could provide if someone asks if we have any hard rules about criminal convictions. But as I said, either way, if you're wanting to go forward with it in rule or do it in policy, I'm not. I don't have incredibly strong opinions either way. I did, aside from being transparent and upfront about what we will and will not accept.
Well, it sounds like for an applicant, it might be easier to find in the rule then. Is that correct? From what you said?
I'll defer to what Marissa said
Mhm.
earlier, and if she has more to add, I'm happy to invite her to chime in.
No, I don't have anything in additional to add.
Marissa,
Where
is
do you
it-
see it?
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
Say
Dr.
that again?
John.
Oh,
I was asking Marissa where she would think it should go,
Mhm.
because it looks
Yeah.
fine in here to me. It seems it's easier to find for an applicant if they go to the rules first.
yeah, I would strongly suggest having it here, and we can certainly reference it on our application webpage, have it as an additional link for more information and our FAQs. But again, we have a lot of people that really dissect our rules prior to applying, before actually going to our website a lot. So I think it makes sense keeping it here, and then we can always just reference it on the website if they happen to go to the website first.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So
Thanks, Marissa.
listen to Marissa and keep it here.
And I think at that point, it's just a question of, and obviously we'll change that to the language that starts it off per Heather's suggestion to conviction. My only question to you, Heather, on that is if we say conviction, does that, and I don't even know if this happens with those types of convictions, but does that cover expungements or Alfred pleas or anything else like that?
So Alfred plea, you're gonna have a conviction, expungement. I mean, a pardon would get rid of it. I'm trying to think. If it's expunged, then there's, no record of it. So usually you can answer no, legally if it's expunged. Or if you did like a deferred prosecution and then, but I don't know if they do deferred prosecution on this type of crime.
I would
I'm
hope not.
thinking like, one DUI,
Right.
that's super typical, is you'd have a deferred prosecution. The person goes through the treatment, waits the however many years, and then it's removed from their record if they're successful. And so that would no longer be there. But some of these, I don't think they do that sort of deferred prosecution on them. They might get pardoned. I mean, that's the only thing, or on appeal, Innocence Project or something. I don't know. But those then will be overturned.
Right. Okay. Then I would say then let's change the intro language to just conviction, contain the following convictions that constitute violations of chapter.
I did have a question about stalking. Is that a felony? I mean, I didn't know, because sometimes, I mean, there are different, I don't know enough about what stalking is. I mean, I know people will use that, but I don't know what the legal ramification of stalking is.
It's
and a
been
conviction is?
it's been a few months since I've drafted this up, but what I did is I went to 9A and I just like went down the list of those convictions. So stalking is in there. I don't know if it's technically considered a felony or not, but it's definitely under 9A as a convicted crime.
Mike Farrell has a question. What about convictions in other states?
My read on this is that it would apply to those convictions in other states. They're going to have to declare. And so, I mean, that was one of the reasons for, information that constitute violations. So that was my thinking when it comes to out of state convictions that would qualify as a conviction under 9A. So if we need to add language to clarify that, more than happy to consider it.
Yeah, does this chapter thing in the fourth line of chapter 9A.32 RCW, those are state chapters, so it may,
Washington State, yes.
yes, maybe that gives the impression
Uh-huh.
that it only applies to Washington,
Could we
or you could
say,
just,
go ahead.
or similar in whatever, yeah.
Could you put convictions, add something onto that says convictions in Washington or any other state? Could we add somewhere, put that caveat in there that doesn't matter what state it happened in?
I'm going to appeal to Heather on that one. You're muted, Heather.
I'm sorry. I have seen in other either statutes or rules where they've talked about equivalency. So, so in other states, so in Oregon, their murder might not be first degree. They might have, I don't know, some other premeditated, maybe a different name or label for it. And so we can look and try and find some language about equivalent to these crimes. And it might be worth, especially like stalking and some of those that are really sort of general because I think there are, don't quote me, but I think there are levels of stalking.
Right.
There's like a misdemeanor harassment that's sort of stalking, and then there can be further, stalking with brandishing a weapon or, whatever. I don't know. It might be worth going through and actually putting in a citation on some of these, but I think we can find some language about equivalent crimes in other states, something, so that you are catching those convictions that happen in, Oregon, Washington, California, or Oregon or California or wherever, and then they want to come here and say, well, I didn't murder anyone in Washington, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that sounds ridiculous,
Yeah,
but yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
right.
So we'll do equivalency, and then I guess the question that moves on then is could we go down the list and could the commissioners let us know if there's any that they're not comfortable having on this list as an automatic no?
I'm assuming these first four stay in this one. 8.
Kidnapping a family member isn't good either.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
So I'll clarify on that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of domestic situations where there's an accusation of kidnapping a family member, specifically custody issues, and it's not actually kidnapping.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's a conviction of kidnapping, would it matter if it was a family member or not?
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave that.
Clarified conviction.
Uh-huh.
I mean, then you can probably take the non-family member part out.
Right, just leave it kidnapping in the first degree.
Mm-hmm. And then Amelia, if you could put a note on stalking to give more specificity on the degree.
Okay. Let me know to stop if you want to have one of these.
I'll just go ahead and say the criminal impersonation thing. I struggled with including that, but we have seen in the last, say, 5 years or so, more and more convictions of people impersonating physicians. There's one individual in California that I'm thinking of that has had at least 3 convictions of this. They just won't stop. So that was the main thinking behind that.
I like it in there, Micah.
Okay, that is the
And I'm going to ask Heather on this next part, since it has to do with board actions. Is there something specific she would, because it's not convictions, is it findings or?
Oh, I'm muted again. Yeah. I think you want something contains the, I think you want to not say like the application contains something, but that the applicant has had this, happen to them. If board action in another state or because I don't think you want to say, well, I mean, I just am looking at someone saying, well, my application doesn't contain that. So just, this is me trying to think out how, because I said no,
How they read it.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So if we can reword it, say it shall deny application regardless for applicants who have had the following actions taken by another state board or something like that.
Okay.
And maybe you go off of, well, most of this you're going to catch through the data bank, but the 3 or more significant might be difficult to pin down what that means, but.
We actually have significant disciplinary actions defined in 1871B.
Yeah, it's hard to know with the 3 or more, not knowing what those significant are. I mean, is that you could see someone having 3 actions maybe. I mean, we've seen people who have a lot of complaints and more than that in our state, and they still have a license to practice, depending on what the issue was, right?
Well, we can certainly delete 3 and all of its attachments. And Mike has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wondered, Micah, if this would conflict with the Shield law. Someone who is revoked for an act in Texas that is perfectly legal here. I think we're boxing ourselves in this one.
Wouldn't the Shield law being statute take precedence?
Well, you have this rule that I think you said the rule was intended to inform people not to even bother to apply. So I don't think we want a rule that even possibly conflicts with the Shield statute.
And what's the Shield statute?
The Shield statute is one that prevents us from denying an application or taking a mirrored action under, I think it's 370, that involves what's called covered services. So that's reproductive care, gender affirming care. And so the only, if you're paying attention to that shield law, the only thing that's exempted from that are compact licenses. And so what Mike's talking about is this is saying, if you've been revoked or there's not an allowance for the shield law piece. I think you could probably make an allowance in the rule about that and just say except as relating to XYZ statute.
So if the applicant is looking at this, obviously license revoked, suspended.
Mm-hmm.
What public letters of concern, reprimand, or warning? What if they didn't do all their medical records in time, so they got a reprimand? I mean, are we from another state?
Yeah, that's
Are
exempted
we automatically
under
okay?
3. But it sounds like 3 is going to create more confusion than we're comfortable with. So I would suggest just deleting 3 and all of its subs.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering how much panel L, I mean,
Agreed.
some of these things are in the gray zone.
Yeah.
Right? And so you figure it's best to have panel L kind of look at things.
Yep. So Mike, on this one, would saying except as exempted or something to that effect, according to the shield law, would that satisfy your concern there?
I think that would be a little confusing, Micah. So take an example, real life example. Well, I don't know if this is real life, but a doctor is licensed in New York and Texas. They perform an abortion in New York. New York is fine with that. They get revoked in Texas. They apply for a license in Washington. You're forced to deny this application.
Unless we add the language that I was just suggesting, which is unless it falls under the shield law.
Yeah, then they have to go look at the shield law. And they have to hire an attorney, try to figure it out. I just think, I think your intentions are good. I just think it could cause more confusion rather than clarity. And I think it takes discretion away from panel.
Okay, let's scrap this one.
Yeah.
So just what I just added, or all of
this whole bit about board action.
Okay. All right.
Now this moves from denial to taking actions such as referring to WPHP. This is what we currently do, I believe, unless I have typos. And so this is not a deviation from our standard. This is just letting folks know that this is what we're going to do if you have this in your record or application.
What's an Alfred plea?
I'll let a lawyer explain it because they probably use better words than I do for what it is.
Oh, Alford. Yeah.
Yeah, Alford.
Alford, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically sort of no contest. You say, yeah, I agree that the prosecution has enough evidence to prove it if we went to trial. So I'm basically not going to contest it, but I'm not going to admit guilt either. So you just sort of say, yeah, you probably have enough to convict me, so I'll just take the punishment and be on my way.
So effectively STIDS.
Yeah, exactly.
Have we on panel L used WPHP if there were less than 3 DUIs?
It depends on the time frame, right?
So
if it's a DUI within 3 years, you automatically tend to send them to WPHP. I've not seen a scenario where you don't.
Correct. Yeah.
Do we want to keep the number 3 in there? Is that because then it boxes us in right to if they had 2. I'm just trying to figure out the 3. Why 3? Why the number 3?
I think that's because it's talking about the 5-year preceding. If we scroll down just a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. So number 1 is talking about denial. And so if you've
Mhm.
got 3 or more DUIs within the 5 years preceding the application, you would be denied.
Denied. Okay.
Yes. So the second one is about getting any within the previous 5 years. You're going to go to WPHP for an evaluation.
Okay. So okay. And in the one before that, it does tell them you'll get denied.
Correct. Shall
Okay.
result in a denial.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And this one is the one that any, and the typo, um, any arrest of or for a DUI in the previous 5 years from the date of the application will result in you getting sent to WPHP. That's our NRE process.
Thanks.
I mean, does someone need to disclose they have depression and are on antidepressant?
Sure. So
Like
let me
in
clarify.
I mean,
let me
that's,
clarify on this.
yeah.
So in
That's-
our application, we have a safe harbor provision, which basically says if you have a mental condition, physical condition, substance abuse, and it meets the definition that's in there, if you make yourself, quote, known, and we define that to WPHP, you don't have to tell us anything. However, for this, if they are not known to WPHP and we find out about it, about the condition, we will refer them to WPHP for evaluation.
I mean, there are a
Mhm.
lot of people on antidepressants and they're
Mhm.
very functional and they don't have a severe, they're treated by their own use psychiatrist or someone else, family practitioner.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just seems really harsh.
I
That
agree. Yeah, especially with what we just heard at
Mhm.
Clear with
Right.
regard to, right. So, yeah,
And that's certainly not the intent of this. So the definition of the condition is something that prevents you from practicing medicine with reasonable skill and safety. I would not in any way qualify antidepressant use as that.
do you want to put it a little bit, I don't know how we could word that because, it's left up to interpretation on whether or not you're safe to practice. So I don't know if we could put that in there or how we could make this not so harsh as Dr. Domino was saying.
Sure. I mean, we can certainly add some language that I didn't want to make it too long, basically, because the license application has that language in there, and so we can just transfer that over and basically get more detail as far as what we're talking about with respect to mental condition, what we're talking about is known to the physician health program.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful because I mean, otherwise I read it, it's like, gee, say you're on an antidepressant, and a lot of people are, and it's
Mhm.
like, wow, you have to tell the commission. I
Yeah, no,
mean,
not
you
the
don't
intent.
have to, it's only if
Right.
it
Yeah.
affects your ability to practice. So,
Yep,
yeah.
I'll add some language into that from the application.
Yeah,
We'll make it
because
very
there's
clear.
been a whole thing about, the change I mean, basically hospital privileges as well
Mhm.
and board privileges. It's trying to, I think, create a little, not try to make people, um, stigmatize things
Right.
like depression,
Mhm.
right? Or anxiety disorders or whatever. And that
Mhm.
can be adequately controlled with medication.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. So Micah's gonna get some more details for this. We're okay with 1 and 2 as we've changed them.
Right. Okay, so this is in response to a change in the accreditation standards for Canadian medical schools. And so July 1 of this year, the LCME stopped accrediting or dual accrediting Canadian medical schools, which instantly shunted Canadians over to IMG status, meaning that unless we do this, they have to go through ECFMG. They have to get sponsored for a visa through ECFMG. They have to take, and they have to do that in order to access USMLE steps 1, 2, and 3. And so what this is doing is having the commission formally recognize the Canadian Medical School Accreditation Group, CACMS, as well as recognizing, I believe, and maybe it's the next thing. There's another area that recognizes the Canadian exam as equivalent. And so this allows Canadians to come in without going through ECFMG and steps 1, 2, and 3, and effectively maintains what has been the status quo for, I think, 40 years.
Thank you, Micah. It's very important.
Yes, agreed.
And I'll note we still don't have a good explanation as to why that change occurred.
So is there a reason why you are saying that you recognize it as equivalent as instead of just saying the commission approves, you know, the liaison committee on medical education and the committee on accreditation of Canadian medical schools? Because your statute allows you to approve Canadian.
I'll take simpler any day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just make it one sentence and the committee on accreditation of Canadian medical schools, period. Because your 055 says you can approve US or Canadian or territorial.
Territorial is like Guam, right?
Like Guam, Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those, as far as I know, are still accredited by LCME.
Yeah, I would just, yeah. I don't think you need all that equivalent language because you're just saying, no, we are approving it.
Okay.
Do you need this last sentence? That replacing the last sentence?
So 055, that statute that talks about schools of medicine and requirements for approval, doesn't say, I was just looking, it doesn't say it needs to be accredited by anyone. It just requires that they have certain prerequisites, that they teach certain subjects, they have clinical instruction. So you have that right under 055. I don't know if you need to call it out here. It's up to you.
I think the only argument for keeping that last sentence at this point in my mind is clarity for panel L. But other than that.
Yeah. The one comment I would make about it is I would worry you're gonna get an influx of people from unaccredited schools now. Oh, you can, and they're gonna all be requesting, or maybe that happens all the time. I don't know, but that you might get a lot of international schools saying, "Oh, see, you have the authority to accredit my school or approve my school one by one." I don't know. Just a thought.
With that thought, let's delete it.
I'm
not signing up for extra work. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I just don't know if it would make it, more likely or not. I don't know. That was just my thought.
Yeah, the key thing is to recognize Canadian medical schools and the Canadian exam. So we can delete the last two sentences, I believe is what those are.
Okay. So now it will just say 5, lazy on and the committee on accreditation. Okay. 30, postgraduate medical training. The only thing we need to do here is so far is update. And Micah had a suggestion that we say most current version of X, but I think in the past we've had this conversation, Heather, that we can't do that. We have to specify in rule which version we're approving.
Right. Yeah, the APA does require that you specify the version. So I would just update it to whatever's the most current version. If there's, I mean, there's something more current than the 1718.
I'm sure there is. Looks like it's 2425 is the most recent.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
And you've got that second part of the sentence that allows you to approve, calls out approval of things that may come up, new ones that may come up. So
Sure.
The last time we did this rule, they wanted us to put the list in rule as a request.
No, thank you.
That'd be quite a list. I don't.
I said no.
I think it's like 24 or 26. I don't know what number we're on now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this one is where you get applicants who are both MDs and dentist trained. And the problem that we run into is they'll do 1 year, say, otolaryngology, and then they jump over to their CODA training. And so we can't say that they completed 12 or 24 months of accredited residency under ACGME, despite the fact that they did like 5 years of residency, and they're clearly not slouches. So this is allowing us to recognize the CODA accredited trainings, so we can count that towards the 24 months.
Sounds good.
Yep, agreed.
Agree.
Okay. Micah explains in his comment.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm just reminding myself of what this is.
Yeah.
So basically, over the years, there have been various pathways for folks to come in that are IMGs. Some of them exist and some of them don't. And so one of the first one you see here is sort of a grandparenting clause of anybody that was licensed in another state prior to 1958. And I thought that was sort of up there, and I did the math, and that person would be 88 years old roughly. And I know while we do have some folks who are practicing to advanced age, it's probably something we need to think about expiring. So this is proposing that in 2030, this would expire, and we would no longer accept anybody through this pathway.
Can you have it expire? I mean, that's pretty old.
Yeah.
I agree, but
I mean,
I didn't want to be real subjective from an age standpoint, because I mean I think conceivably there's probably someone out there who, I think I just saw last month an article about a 100-year-old doctor still practicing in like Vermont or something. Still goes to the office and does family practice.
Delivered all the kids in the community and some.
Actually, yeah, my dad worked with someone who pretty much delivered everyone in the county for a good 30 years. So.
It's almost wondering, for those advanced age physicians, they still practice. Almost it's like wondering that should they still be practicing? Their medical knowledge is still, kind of up to date or applicable. And then it's almost like driver's license. We're required, people, say, is it 70 that they're required to take a mature driver's exam, or to prove that they can still drive. I mean, so this, to me, is that, if they're still practicing, it just makes you wonder, and if they're coming from another state, then do we need to require them? Still accept it, to say that, yeah, you can still practice in our state, we'll accept your license.
Well, Panel L looks at all the background, right? For those
Mhm.
practitioners, all the things that come with it. So if there was some issues with their license at their certain age, it would be looked at Panel L. For sure.
Correct.
What about our discrimination laws? Do we have anything we have to look at with regard to that when on this?
I mean, I'll defer to Heather on this. I think if we say no one over a certain age is allowed to get a license, we run into that pretty clearly.
Right.
But again, this is a grandparenting clause, and so the proposal is to expire it on a set date. Your consideration is advanced age and competence to practice at that age. However, but you're not specifically saying no one of a certain age is allowed to practice.
And are we okay with that, Heather, from a discriminatory standpoint?
Yeah, I think, this grandfathering is not in your statute anymore, so it's just a holdover in rule. So I think, you've been allowing this, practice in another state, to go forward. So I don't see any problem with sunsetting this, this provision. Yeah. Because you could someone who's whatever age, if they met the requirements and had their residency and, all of that, would get a license. So,
Yeah. And it's not, I think if you scroll down, Amelia, that last sentence, yeah, so it is holding on to the folks that have already been licensed, so they still get to keep that if they maintain their maintenance of licensure.
Yeah.
So we're not exiting out anybody by doing this. We're just closing the pathway.
Oh, okay, thanks. I like that.
Right, for
Additional
new
last
people.
sentence. Thank you.
That's fine.
Then just a clarifying question, Heather, because we'll be updating these rules again in 2030. Can we remove that? I mean,
Yeah, then you
probably
could
ask
just,
us again.
then you could remove, are we gonna be here in 2030? I don't know, but, yeah. I'm kidding. Yes, you could just delete it at that point.
Okay.
We laugh to keep from crying.
Yep. Okay, so that's the only change to that section. On to 3. Okay.
Right. This is a direct quote from the statute that was passed in Senate Bill 5118.
Looks good to me.
So we did have
Yeah.
a comment from Wisma, which I thought
Okay.
was there, but let me go find it. They wanted us to change. Okay, let me put this up on the screen. It's tiny. I will make it bigger. This sentence right here says finally in WAC, which we're talking about right now, 345, the entire citation for SB 5118 includes that the scope of practice of an individual licensed and practicing under authority of this license shall be defined in the practice agreement between the supervising physician and the licensee. We request inclusion of the entire statutory citation within the WAC to help ensure consistency and clarity.
One moment, I'm looking at the whole statute there.
Yep, that's what The reason that comment from Wisma isn't in your packet is because we just got it yesterday.
Got it.
Someone does have their hand raised.
Where is?
So
Oh, go ahead, Hillary.
Hey, Amelia, and hi, Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comment. I just wanted to thank you for referencing our note on SB 5118. And also just while we're on the topic of our comment on IMGs, I just wanted to note that the WISMA supports integrating IMGs into Washington's physician workforce while ensuring appropriate education and training standards. And as you noted, we've submitted more detailed comments, including about the ABGP certification and specs exams, and just appreciate your consideration of our feedback on these rules.
So this is Heather. It looks like they're just asking for the first sentence of 5G to be
Okay.
added,
Mhm.
where you've got the second sentence here. They would like the first sentence as well. I don't know that there's any problem with that.
I don't think there's a problem with that. I will point out that the first sentence is not the area of confusion that we run into. It's the second. So that's the reason for highlighting it. But if the commissioners want to add it, then that's up to your discretion.
And just, this is Kyle, just for the benefit for Dr. Domino, Dr. Chang, and Ms. Blake, we get inquiries on the issue that Mike is talking about pretty regularly. I'm not sure weekly, but if not, pretty close to it. From medical credentialing staffs, insurance companies, that sort of thing, in terms of how they're supposed to recognize the CE licensees. So I'm all for being as explicit as possible, even if it's just repeating what's in statute.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah, sounds fine. So
Okay.
should we add another sentence to it then? Is that what you're saying? Or is this clear enough?
I don't want to speak for Kyle. Kyle, what was your recommendation?
I think I'm fine including the entirety, both sentences. I think that's within the spirit of what WSMA was asking for, as Heather pointed out. So I think that's fine. Anything that we can do to kind of facilitate a better understanding of what this license is and what it represents, I think is for the better. So both sentences.
I dropped it in the chat for you, Amelia.
I'm working on it. I've got the statute pulled up. So.
Oh, that's probably easier.
So we're wanting to add this sentence. Correct. And Hillary, does that help? Does that take care
Oh,
of
yeah,
comment?
that is perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, just adding that additional sentence is helpful for clarity. Thank you.
We haven't gotten to the IMG part, right?
Is that not the IMG part right there?
We're in 345.
Yeah.
Then they had another comment about 430. Oh, I see what you said here. She was saying about the inclusion of the Canadian. They supported that. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. sorry. All right. We're all good with this change here.
Mhm.
Commission. Okay. Okay, so Marissa and Micah get to talk about this section.
Marissa gets to talk about this section because she is the expert.
All right. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, I was just wanting to just see if we could change the verbiage on that just a little bit.
Change this guy. That. And section 3 is still good. Okay. We don't need to make any changes to this one, right?
Yeah.
My
Mm-mm.
understanding. Okay.
Could you scroll up just a tad
Yeah.
for a second?
Sure.
Thanks.
And we're all clear that the examining authority is USMLE and not us.
Should we just say USMLE?
Yeah. Yep. That works. You good with that, Marissa?
Yes.
Good catch.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Good with this change.
And that's just the follow on from the Canadian medical school thing.
Looks good.
Good with that.
Looks good.
Okay. Do we need to make a change based on this comment?
I think there was that was just a note of research, and we do believe that that's still going to be recognized.
Okay, so we can just leave it then.
Yes.
I'm gonna delete this thread.
This is Heather. I have a question back on that Canadian exam. Is there a score they need, or are we just leaving that off? Sorry.
On this part or the one above?
One above. I'm sorry. I was still.
That's okay.
So equivalent passage of the medical exam. Is there,
Are we asking for the score above in USMLE? Because I think that's what I was reflecting.
that we took it out?
Yeah. So just the
Okay.
just the context. USMLE went from a 2-digit to a 3-digit passing score, and then on step 1, they're just pass fail now. So
Okay.
that was part of the update for USMLE is to not have that tied in rule, and so just you got to pass.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're good on 4 now. Okay, so there's a note from Micah that Flex so I offered, yeah, this update. We just wanted to make sure that people knew that it's no longer offered, but we still consider it. Is this accurate information? And are we okay with it?
I'm okay with it.
Okay with it.
I'm
I'll
okay
defer
with
to-
it. I don't
I'll
know if
defer to
it's
Marissa
accurate or
on
not,
accuracy.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is accurate. We still have applicants who are they have taken the flex, and we do recognize it, but it is not a exam that is administered anymore. So I think adding that language in there is appropriate, but we still need to keep it for a little bit longer while those applicants still come through.
And the score, Marissa, the average weighted score 75 or higher, that's accurate as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so WISMA has some comments on 370. Let me pull those up. You guys are doing good work. I did not think we would get to this section today. And I told Hillary that. I was like, oh, we won't get to it.
Here we are.
She's like, okay. All right. So hold on. So let's see. In the comment, they say that they're in the process of gathering more information on specs exams and may provide additional comment in the future on the impact of the proposed rule language. And then they say, broadly, we share the WMC's goals of ensuring any revisions to the rule advance the ability of physicians to enter the workforce prepared to deliver safe quality care to Washington State patients. So this section we may need to come back to because they are likely going to have comments.
What's
Right, Hillary?
what's the proposed change here, Amelia?
Let's take a look. Is this right here?
Right. Okay. So and I may get my citation wrong here. I believe it was Senate Bill 6551 in 2019 that told us to explore the possibility of offering a hardship waiver for IMGs who, these are the ones that come from war-torn countries or there's persecution in their home country, that kind of thing. And so as the IMG work group we really did wrestle with this quite a bit, and we had to end up voting on it about 3 different times. And so where we landed was we have to have an exam. If they are from a war-torn country and in refugee status, they will likely not have ECFMG. They will likely not be able to access the USMLE the traditional way. I want to point out that I applied for a case-by-case waiver to let them take the specs exam with the specs oversight committee that's administered by Federation of State Medical Boards. They did consider it and vote on it, and they approved it. So we have formal approvals for this pathway should someone get determined that they have a hardship that is recognized by the commission. So that's one piece of the hardship process waiver that's in development.
So I don't know anything about this specs exam.
Sure, it's the special purpose examination. It's administered by FSMB. It contains live USMLE Step 3 questions.
I see.
You can go ahead, Hillary.
So thank you for considering that comment. And Micah, thank you for that explanation. That's very helpful. I'm going to bring that back to our team. And just while we're on the topic of us potentially having comments in the future, I just wanted to flag at the top. I know we submitted our comment late, so apologies for that. And thank you for still reviewing and sharing our initial feedback in this meeting. Just wanted to reiterate that we recently received the rule, so we are still reviewing and trying to understand and reaching out to members. We're just waiting on feedback. So anyway, we just appreciate your long timeline and the opportunity to continue to provide feedback in future workshops. So anyway, thank you again. and that explanation is helpful.
Nothing, no problem.
So for this one, I think we will revisit it once we have more comments. I mean, maybe we'll get more comments from WISMA in the future. But for now, is this language fine? It won't be approved for a while. So, but for today, is this language okay?
I'm fine with it.
I'm
It
fine.
seems okay. The one question I have is, does this exam, can American medical grads who may not have passed the USMLE or one section of it take this exam?
Not to my knowledge. So the most common use case that we have for the specs exam is someone who's been out of practice for a little while and maybe their license is fully expired. And we will use, we'll direct them to go take that that exam to show competence before we'll grant the reactivation. I thought I saw Kyle's hand pop up, but maybe I misread that.
No, I was, Micah, I was going to say the same exact thing you did. Dr. Domino, that's usually the context in which we rely on the specs exam, but
Mhm.
it's even then quite rare.
Okay. Any other questions about this change? Oh, we were just repetitive here.
Mhm.
So we're removing just G because we already say it in one. Yeah. Then there's a little bit of language change in 3.
I'll let Marissa describe the challenges her team gets with this.
So we have the temporary practice permit available for our MDs applicants. And we run into a lot of issues related to hospitals where they push for us to get the temporary practice permit. However, once they actually receive it, a lot of billing companies, insurance companies reject the temporary permit because they don't think it's a full license. Well, I mean, technically it's a permit, but they don't think it is a full scope license or permit. So
Exactly.
adding that language would just clarify that so they could be able to reference it if there is any pushback once a provider gets a temporary permit while we process the full license.
I like that, Marissa. There is that concern with billing.
Yeah,
Same with
sounds good.
temporary privileges at a hospital. They don't like it either.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we're good with this language then. We will right along. Same with this one. I'm sure it's the same explanation because it's the same verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
Go with
Yep.
this one.
Yep.
All right. Shouldn't be any changes to this section. It's pretty new. Just zoom past it. Okay, so there's a little bit of change here. Just the sentence, and then we've gone through and changed all references to his or her to their because that's a new rule writing style that we're doing. So we're not allowed to say his or her.
Good.
You okay? You're good with adding this little bit of this sentence prior to the commission authorizing a renewal?
Good with
Yes.
that.
Okay. Changes there. All right. So there's some comments from WISMA about 430. Trying to find where I found this before. Okay, so let me pop this over.
There was something about American Family Practice Society. I don't know what.
Right, so
Yeah.
they support incorporating IMGs into the state's healthcare workforce, like Hillary said. They want to learn more about our experience with the ABGP under the section we're talking about right now, 430. Upon review, their eligibility criteria allows for medical school and residency approvals by the World Health Organization and the accreditation, the ACGME. Our understanding is that the ACGME only accredits residencies, not medical schools, and WHO does not directly accredit or approve any medical school or residency programs, but instead partners with the World Federation for Medical Education on accreditation guidelines for IMG or IME. Given this discrepancy, it is vital to ensure that any board certification process recognized by the WMC for state licensure requires appropriate education and training and is comparable to other nationally recognized board certifications in the interests of patient safety and transparency. So I'm assuming that's just okay, so that comment I believe is about this edition. Hillary, do you have anything further to add for that one?
No, thank you for raising that. I really don't have anything further. It's more just we're still reaching out to members to kind of get some insight, just because we weren't really familiar. And then in the research we did do, we were a bit confused by the reference to who. So I don't know if there's just an explanation to that. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of learn more because we weren't super familiar and we weren't sure based on our research um, how everything kind of lined up there.
I'm sorry. So you're talking about, I'm not seeing a reference to WHO in here.
Well, maybe further down. No, not in this section.
Yeah, I think that is in a later section.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That was
Okay. Well, when we get to that.
sorry, thank you. Okay, I think it was.
Okay, so are you okay with this change?
So we can certainly do some more, research to validate what Wisma was speaking to. The reasoning for this is there are always going to be situations where a an IMG will not be eligible for ABMS board certification, and that's just a structural. It's going to happen. I think if we have a broader conversations about what board certification body we want to recognize, there are a few out there that we don't. But this one in particular is currently being used as a model for some IMG clinical experience training programs in this state now. And importantly, this is not mandating a board certification. This is simply saying if you get board certification from one of these two entities in the previous 4 years, you will meet certain aspects of your CME renewal requirement.
So for this one, we can certainly revisit it when we get additional comments, either from Wisma or someone else.
Okay.
So I think we can just hold on this one for now. We don't really have to make any decisions about this language today.
Okay,
Especially since
sounds
we're
good.
waiting, they're vetting it with their folks. So, all right. So we'll move on past that one. And then there's some suggested changes to the suicide prevention training. And Micah asked if we needed this section anymore. And we do have to retain at least part of it because the WMC specifies the amount of hours and the exemption, which is not in the statute. And so I did edit this a little bit to make it more clear. And, we had some like dates, January 1st, 2016, like that is long enough ago now that I don't think we need to reference it in rule because this was a one-time training. So if they met it back then they continue to meet that. So, I mean, we still have the year in there. I don't know that we need to keep it, but yeah, this is just my attempt at rewriting it to make it a little more clear. And then, like my note here says, we would have to, if we make a change here, we would have to update it in both the PA and the AA chapters because they have this language, this old language.
Mhm.
It was very long before.
It
Why
is.
would an AA need to do suicide training if they're not, I mean, they're anesthesia and they're only doing
So,
anesthesia. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
the funny thing about this particular bill, it was intended to apply to everybody. I'm sure WISMA can speak to how much they raised concerns about certain specialties being exempted. Anesthesia, pathology, radiology were all ones that raised and said, why would I need this? I don't deal directly with patients, or in the case of pathology, forensic pathology, they don't deal with ones that are alive. So
Right.
that those comments were heard to some extent, and if memory serves, the only group that got exempted were CRNAs.
And that,
Really?
Well, AAs
obvious.
are also like CRNAs too, right? So, I
Right.
mean,
So
So
without
we
a
didn't,
statutory exemption, we've
Has
got
to
to
I
be.
we've
see.
got to have everybody do it.
yeah.
I see.
So we did add this exemption. This is in rule now that it says allopathic physicians who have brief or limited patient contact or no patient contact are exempt from the requirement. We did not define brief or limited. We went back and forth
Mhm.
about defining brief or limited. Our advice to folks who call and ask is that they have to determine themselves whether they have brief or limited patient contact.
Mhm.
And so, and typically, if they tell me, oh, well, I don't even talk to patients, okay, well, then that would apply to you. You're exempt from this particular. So if AAs aren't having like any kind of contact with patients, whether it's brief or limited, then I think they would be exempt. They would fall under this exemption. But we still had to add it to the AA rule
I see.
because we're required to do that. So if we change the language here, we would just need to change it over in,
I think it's fine then. I just was surprised that,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we did this rulemaking, there was a push to have a list of specialties that were exempt. And we just did not want to do that. So
Right. Sounds good to me.
Agree.
So I think this is a good place to stop and we will talk about, because there's a lot of comments about this section, this 445. There's comments from both WISMA and other.
Mhm.
great. So, thanks all for your participation. Ms. Boyd will now outline the next steps and finalize the schedule for upcoming workshops.
And we may not need all these workshops that I'm about to talk to you about. But. All right. Okay, so our next steps for this rulemaking process will include additional workshops, which will be scheduled soon, and notices will be sent out through our Gov delivery distribution lists. So this is a tentative schedule. And then commissioners, obviously I can reach out to you outside of this meeting, but I just want to see if you are all available for that December 8th tentative date.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, we won't hold one then. And then I will send the remaining other workshop dates to you after this workshop and see if you are available. And then once those are scheduled, obviously we'll send the notices out through our Gov delivery distribution list, and we'll post them to this rules site. So real quick, let me find it. I just want to show where people can find each of the rules we have in progress right now are, let me share my screen again. They each have their own site. And I just want to show you how you can navigate to that site. Okay, so if you go to our rules in progress, if you just hover over policies and rules and go to rules and regulations in progress, just click that. All of our current rules are listed under the current rules of progress. And each of these rules has their own site. So this is the rule we're working on today. And then here's all of the CR 101 and things like that. You can make public comment here. And then eventually, now that we've had a workshop and now that there's more current draft language, then it will look a little bit more like this site. It'll have the current draft language, the date that that draft language was posted, and it'll have links to all of the previous work that we've done on that rule. So you can definitely send the opioid prescribing links the same. You can definitely go to this site, post comments if you'd like. You can still email them to the medical .rules for sure, because I still check that box every day. But you'll be able to see all the links to everything in this spot, and previous packets for workshops will be on this page. Does anybody have any
Nice.
questions about that?
No, it's great.
It looks great. Right. Are there any further questions about the schedule or the rules process? Don't see any. If no one else wishes to speak, I will close the workshop. Thank you very much for attending. See you, everyone.
See ya.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.